So it's finally come to this. I'm really doing this? Yeah, a top 10 list. As a YouTuber, I believe it's a rite of passage to make a top 10 list. So here we are. So this will be my top 10 ongoing manga in 2022. A star means I highly recommend you read it, so let's start. Undead Unluck I believe could be a smash hit, if it gets a proper anime adaptation that is. But I think the first couple of chapters are the weakest in the entire manga, but after that you're introduced to one of the best stories in Jump currently. So the story is about a young girl called Fuko, who's tired of unintentionally killing the people around her with her special ability Unluck, who funny enough luckily bumps into Andy, who wants nothing more to die. So the two form an unlikely pair as his ability Undead prevents him from dying. So after messing around with the natural order of the world, they are then recruited into the Union, where the two form a wholesome relationship and are basically tasked with saving the world. Sounds pretty simple, but you're wrong. This manga is a cool power system that allows for fresh, exciting and dynamic fights. It's not just me punch harder so I win. No, characters actually strategize and plan out their approach of attack. It also helps the art is fucking cool at times with some double page spreads. The story is very unpredictable with tons of foreshadowing and some really fantastic world building. That too, and the endless character development from the different cast makes it a fun, enjoyable read you should pick up. Plus, not to mention the cute wholesome relationship between Andy and Fuko. I'll give it around 10 chapters because those first chapters are kinda messy. If it's not for you, drop it. So next up we have Witch Hat Atelier. The initial appeal for Witch Hat Atelier for me was the beautiful ass art. Most if not all pages of this manga belong in a museum, man, I'm not kidding. So the story is about Coco, a humble dressmaker's daughter who's always been fascinated by magic and the witches who cast it, despite the strict precautions witches take to hide it from the public. So when one day a witch pays a visit to the humble establishment, she takes a peek and learns about the secrets of magic. I don't want to go too much into detail about what happens next, but just so you know, we are thrust into this magical adventure, no pun intended, of dreams, hope and self-discovery with Coco. The plot is fairly straightforward, but it also helps that the cast is full of some colorful cast of characters, all whom are pretty distinguishable as the story progresses. Just about everyone has reasons behind their goals and motivations. I wouldn't say the world building is great, but the magic system makes the world feel real and believable. You know, like the magic has rules, just like the science of our world, which I found to be a fresh breath of air from the usual abracadabra bullshit we always get. And from all that, you're probably thinking, man, this is some PG-13 stuff, get out of my face. While it may not be the most graphic thing out there, it does deal with mature themes like death and stuff. So I would say give it around 5 chapters. If you don't like it, then skip it. Up next we have the Fable. This manga has been airing for a minute now, I think since 2014, and it just got a sequel manga like last year, but let me not waste any time. The story is about a Fable, a legendary hitman who's completed many jobs for multiple clients. After concluding his latest work, his boss orders him to lay low for a year to take a break from killing so much. So now he must adapt to living as a normal citizen with the woman who was once his getaway driver. But to make sure he commits, his boss warns him about killing anyone or else he'll be the one in a body bag if he fails to comply. So yeah, that's the plot. I think it just makes for an entertaining read because the plot places him in situations where the knowledge and expertise of an assassin are not needed. So we get these really naturally funny moments with the guy as he struggles to act like a normal person. And as for the art, it has a scary level of realism because characters' facial reactions and gestures almost resemble that of me and you in our everyday life. So I think this is where the charm of the manga will be for most people. Plus, we don't have any annoying chibi reactions, forced conversations, and some painfully unfunny comedy. So this I actually recommend you read. It's got some really good comedy and overall it's just a good read. Sakamoto Days is one of the new gen of the Shonen Jump magazine, just like Undead Unluck, and I'm not gonna lie, they just felt like a reskinned Gintama clone. The MC is a retired OP badass who works at a supermarket, you know, kind of like the Odd Jobs. You have Shin as in Shinpachi from Gintama, the trusty clumsy sidekick, and Lu, the innocent female companion who turns into a fighting monster when needed. Just like who? Yeah, Kagura. But dare I say it has a better start than Gintama because it prides itself on the action scenes more than the comedy, unlike Gintama. The comedy itself focuses on the character interactions and situations, which for the most part are pretty fun and entertaining, but without the legendary parodies of Gintama. The cast of characters is definitely one of its selling points. Everyone has quirks, you know, the dumb, goofy kind. But if you were to put a gun to my head and ask me what's the best thing about the manga, is the art and action scenes. The action sequences have some really thought out choreography, and it also helps that it always looks goddamn fire when doing it. Plus, I also love this one-shot pages of moments during the fight or after. It could also benefit a lot from an anime. This is just a fun, action-packed roller coaster ride. Give it 5 chapters and see if it's for you. Oshi no Ko is a story I really don't want to spoil because the first 10 chapters are damn near perfect, but we know nothing in this world is perfect except Boruto. So with this bootleg summary of mine, the story follows this girl AI, and we follow her life as an idol in the cruel Japanese entertainment industry. We see the emotional and mental pressures that come with the fame and talent surrounding the business. I think I might fail at selling this one well, but I promise you on my mama that this story is worth reading. The suspense and mystery of the opening chapters will leave you wanting more by the time the story arc ends. Plus, the manga is really informative when it comes to the different areas of entertainment, from how idols work and navigate through the music industry. We see how actors and actresses in the TV and movie industry also try to play the dirty and vicious game of lies in order to sell themselves to the audiences. The star of the show, AI, doesn't carry the manga alone. The vibrant cast of characters brings some life and color into the character interactions that sometimes you forget that she's the MC. Like we see every single side of the multi-billionaire dollar industry in Japan. Like we even have mangakas too within the story. This one gets that solid star from me. Give it 5 chapters and trust me, you'll come back and thank me. I think this one is called Kaiju number 8. This one will definitely scratch that monster vs human conflict that we missed from AOT in season 1. But don't expect some mind-blowing plot twist, unsolved mysteries and complex character studies like AOT. What you get here is just a simplified version. Just monster vs man. So for many years, godlike monsters called Kaiju have been terrorizing Japan for many years. And as a countermeasure, the government formed an elite military group called the Defense Corps to combat them. Our MC Kafka Habino has always dreamed of joining the military and stomping out some monsters. But sadly, Kafka is now 32 years old and works as a sweeper, the guys who clean up after the military defeat the creatures. So after many failed attempts to join the Defense Corps, he basically gives up on his dreams. But after coming into contact with the parasitic Kaiju during his cleaning sessions, he decides to give his long-life dream a chance. So that's the plot. What about the art? I think the art is pretty good. It really matches well with showing these larger-than-life creatures fight the smaller foes in the humans. It has some really nice paneling. As for the characters, I think they're pretty cool and have some spunk to them. Give this one to about 5 chapters and drop it if you think it's not for you. I think I might butcher the name of this one. Sousou no Frieren. The Demon King has been defeated, and the victorious party returns home before disbanding. The 4 people include the mage Frieren, Hirohimo, the priest Hiete, and the warrior Iesen. These 4 reminisce about their decade-long journey as the moment to bid each other farewell arrives, but the passing of time is different from elves. Thus, Frieren witnesses her companions slowly pass away one by one. This manga sounds like an isekai in the beginning, until you realize I said defeated the Demon King. The beauty of this manga comes in the elf Frieren's journey to actually discover those emotional bonds she had with her party members. Although to them 10 years may seem like a lifetime, to her it feels like yesterday. It gets really emotional. This one is definitely a tearjerker. As she learns more through her travels about purpose and value, every day she comes to learn not only more about her comrades, but about the human race and how much they value time, a concept so foreign and infinitely distant from her. The characters in the story are very much self-realized with their own personalities, goals and motivations, although they've pretty much done their goals and motivations. And while it may be a slice of life, it does have action here and there to keep the pacing a bit more refreshing. As for the art, it's fairly good, not that great, but the journey of Frieren and her emotional highs and character development are the real star of the show. I would personally give this one a star. Give this one around 10 chapters, I highly recommend it, although it's a slow burner. Dandadan is a story about Momo Ayase, who moments after being rejected, stumbles upon a boy who's bullied. Saved by her rash kindness, the boy who goes by Ken attempts to speak to her about his love for supernatural things, aliens. Rejecting his claims, Ayase proclaims that she's instead a believer in ghosts. An argument then ensues over which one is real, and a bet to determine who's correct is set. in which both parties land in different locations to find out that respective beliefs are both right and very much exist. First things first, the author of this manga was an assistant of Fujimoto, you know, Chainsaw Man. As such, the art in this manga is fucking good. Sheesh! When I think they can surprise me even more, they pull another rabbit out of the hat. The character designs have no right looking this good, whether it's the MC or the enemies. The chaotic nature of their designs give us some real edge. Besides the art being the best thing about this one, I think the art adds to the excitement and variations of the fight scenes. One moment of fighting underwater, the next thing we're running across the city, then we're fighting in alien spaceships. The variety and creativity in this one is endless. The characters are pretty much fun and quirky, offering a much needed balance between the over-top dark aesthetic. I especially love the wholesome relationship between Ayase and Ken. You can tell it's an awkward thing because they come from totally different worlds in the high school status pool. One is a nerd and one is the popular girl in the school. If you want some breathtaking art and amazing fight scenes, plus some light comedy and wholesome romance, I suggest you give Dandadan a chance. About the movement of Earth. The setting is 15th century Poland. It was a time where heretical ideas led those who possessed such a mindset to being burned at the stake for their beliefs. Raphael, a child prodigy, is expected to major in theology, the most important subject at the time. One day, however, he comes across a mysterious man and is now studying a possible truth in the midst of heretical thought. This manga is probably the least known from the list. I just found it by chance too. But it's a very unique read in the sense that it kind of focuses on the age-old war of religion versus science. It even takes a look at philosophy, idealism versus pragmatism. I know nobody wants to learn shit in their free time, but I think you'll be thoroughly entertained by this one. The art is not the best thing about the manga for sure, but it serves the job of showing us different perspectives of life. The characters themselves serve as vessels for these different philosophies as they try to challenge the status quo. I think it's also based on real world events, so yeah, that's pretty cool. It kind of mirrors a time in history where the existence of different beliefs was rejected due to the fear of causing disorder in the society at large. Lastly, we have one of the funniest reads on here in Mashle. This is the spiritual successor of One Punch Man. I give this one a star right off the bat. So what is Mashle about? The story takes place in a magic dominated world where magicless people are deemed a threat to the gene pool and are purged. But living secretly in the forest is a young and powerless Maj Vandeed, who spends his days training his body to build muscles that can compete with magic. So when his identity is revealed and his peaceful life is disturbed, Maj begins his journey to becoming a divine visionary at the prestigious Eastern Magic Academy, a role so powerful that society would have no choice but to accept his very existence. So this is basically One Punch Man meets Harry Potter, and I'm all here for it. The humor is just as dumb and fun as One Punch Man or even Mob Psycho 100. Watching Mash overcome the different situations in school with his sheer bravado and muscles is just a joy to watch. That also coupled with the same over-the-top characters really makes it one for the books. Now what about the art? It's not that great, but thank God it doesn't look like One Punch Man webcomic. But as the story continues, the author does improve upon his art style and it does become crazy good later on, with the fights especially. All the fight sequences are fluid and fun enough to keep you entertained. While it may be fun, it also hits you with the undertone of discrimination of the weak and defenseless. I really recommend you try this one. If after 3 chapters you don't like it, drop it and wait for the anime. Damn, this script took forever to write. This was me, the Masquerading Menace, and peace.